And I wrote it when I was 17, when I was quite young, and I was feeling a bit anxious about things. And one day I just looked up and I felt the sun on my back and I was like, I don't need to worry about any of this stuff.
What a week it has been. Welcome, and I hope everyone is doing well. I have never been to Whitechapel, so it was about time went on a discovery mission of this place on my own. It was a beautiful day and the sun was out in full force. I could feel the temperature rising. I noticed the Whitechapel Gallery on my left, and I made a beeline to it. I needed a quick background to this place. I approached the entrance. I could see a young lady in reception with a permanent smile on her. Quite welcoming. We exchanged pleasantries, and then I proceeded to ask her a million questions about Whitechapel and Brick Lane. The knowledge and learning tattooed in my brain, I stepped out with an enthusiastic sense of exploration and discovery. My eyes are extremely sensitive to light. The mid-morning blinding sun was already affecting my vision. I squinted, then stopped for a second. I fished through my rucksack in desperate search for my sunglasses. I firmly put them on. Now I was truly ready for Whitechapel and its surroundings. I quickly absorbed the positive vibe around, and quickly realized that Whitechapel is a vibrant, multicultural district in the East End, with lots of curry houses, lots of overcrowded traditional pubs, restaurants, Asian food, street food. The place was overly overcrowded, with crowds spilling onto the pavements, and forcing pedestrians to walk on the already severely narrow roads. These narrow roads and alleys look very much from the Dickensian period. The Whitechapel market, which is about 1 kilometer long, is quite an overwhelming sight too. In this market you will find fish, vegetables, spices, perfumes, exotic fruit, watch repair desks, discount fashion clothing, and homewares. All the stall holders are shouting to get the attention of customers. Left, right, and center, everyone is telling the customers the items are discounted down to a good price. Come and purchase. For a moment I thought I was in the outskirts of Dhaka. Whitechapel Market makes East Street Market look miserably redundant. Needless to say, the majority of the shoppers are Asians. Another positive I noticed is that the place is clean. When I was walking in the narrow streets and alleys, I could not help thinking what it must have been during the time of Jack the Ripper. For a place which is practically Muslim, I could not help wondering why they have so many pubs. However, that thought was quickly dashed when I spoke to some guy about pubs in the area. Lots of outsiders go out to Whitechapel to have a great time. Enjoy the food, alcohol, art, and the music. Looking back at the period of Jack the Ripper, I reckon drinking may have made some people vulnerable, an easy prey for Jack. People are attacked or robbed when drunk. Also, alcohol caused disagreements to escalate violence. The very fact that they had so many pubs means that alcohol was readily available. According to the common assumption of the time, all the 5 victims confirmed murdered by Jack the Ripper were prostitutes. Jack was never caught. I reckon the reason why this guy was never caught was probably the Metropolitan Police were busy with small-time crimes, such as theft and pickpocketing. I am looking at the East London Mosque. It is huge. Apparently, this is the London Muslim Centre, and it's right in the heart of Tower Hamlets. This is a diverse borough with a rich history, and a home to the UK's largest Muslim community. Few doors away is the circumcision clinic. ND opposite across the road is the big Muslim charity shop. Their primary belief and concern is to serve the needs of the local community, and to work towards the common good. You may ask, why are so many Bangladeshis concentrated in Whitechapel, Tower Hamlet? This is the reason. The majority of Bangladeshi families in the UK in the present time are the result of large-scale migration in the early 1970s from the Sylhet region of Bangladesh, as people fled from the civil unrest in their homeland to seek a better life in Britain. They settled in the East London boroughs, which had previously been home to waves of immigrants such as Jewish migrants from Eastern Europe escaping persecutions before the First World War. Others who fled from Nazi Germany and Austria in the 1930s. Bangladeshi men initially managed to find work in the steel and textile mills across England. However, when these industries collapsed, they turned to small businesses including tailoring and catering. Many found work in the growing number of Indian takeaways in the UK, most of which were owned by the Bangladeshis. The reason that Whitechapel attracted immigrants for a long time is because it offered them cheap accommodation, and it was located near the docks where there was an opportunity to find casual work. There was so much movement at this period. In the 1840s, many Irish left Ireland for the United States of America. However, many decided to stay in London because they didn't have enough money for transportation. Just going back to immigration. By far, the largest immigration into the East End had been that of the Jews who had began arriving in increasing numbers from 1881 as they fled persecution or economic hardship in Russia, Poland, and Germany. By 1888, the Jewish population in Whitechapel had grown between 45,000 to 50,000. At first, the Jewish immigrants had settled into the streets of the south of Spitalfields. At first, the Jewish immigrants were received with a certain amount of sympathy. But as the time wore on, and the economic depression saw the specter of mass unemployment sweep across the East End, attitudes began to change. Besides the Jews, the Irish and Eastern European migrants arriving faced discrimination and prejudice. Tensions between different communities was quite common. Different cultures and traditions, however unique, were irritating people. Immigration led to a rise tensions in Whitechapel. Groups did not trust each other, and blamed each other for hardship and crime. Whitechapel had a terrible reputation for high levels of crime created by overcrowding. Having several people sharing the same room. People used buckets in their rooms, and shared outside facilities. Unemployment, extreme poverty, prostitution. Poor lighting made theft and pickpocketing a lot easier. People struggled to make ends meet. So there were real fears gripping the locals and the immigrants. I guess history repeats itself. Right now, Britain is experiencing yet again immigration issues that is causing real fear to some people. Again, immigrants are coming with their own issues, culture, behaviors, mannerisms, which is different from the host country. The Altab Ali Park. This park is packed with history. As I read the history of this park, I felt I was alive and well in the 14th century. Altab Ali Park is located on Adler Street, Whitechapel Lane, and Whitechapel Road. Formerly known as St. Mary's Park. It is the site of the old 14th century white church, St. Mary's Matfelon. The chapel gave the area of Whitechapel its name. St. Mary's was heavily bombed during the Blitz in 1940. All that remains of the old church is the floor plan and a few graves. The park was renamed Altab Ali Park in 1998 in memory of Altab Ali, the 25-year-old Bangladeshi Sylheti clothing worker. He was murdered on May 4, 1978 in Adler Street by 3 teenage boys as he walked home from work. Ali's murder was one of the many racist acts that came to characterize the East End at that time. At the entrance to the park, the arch, created by David Peterson. It was made as a memorial to Altab Ali and other victims of racial attacks. The arch incorporates a complex Bengali-style pattern to show the emerging diverse cultures in East London. Along the path down the center of the park are letters spelling out "The shade of my tree is offered to those who come and go fleetingly," a fragment of a poem by a Bengali poet. His name has escaped me. All that said, Whitechapel continues to grow and develop, and the area is sure to become increasingly safe. The original reputation as rough around the edges and slightly suspicious. Hopefully, this is changing every day. I reckon Whitechapel is much safer than some central or inner London locations. Am not sure whether many of you are aware that Tower Hamlets is the factory and home of graffiti. I was rather taken aback seeing almost every single street covered in graffiti. This kind of art seems to be allowed in the borough of Tower Hamlets. Almost every street or alley I turned to did have graffiti. Some people claim that it is a form of personal expression. They claim graffiti is a way of communicating and a way of expressing what one feels at the moment. It is both an art and a functional thing that can warn people of something or inform people of something. The honest truth be told, graffiti to some people is a form of art, but to others it is a form of vandalism. It is unauthorized marking of private spaces or public spaces. It is a crime and it is illegal. I have said it. Darryl Cornbread McRae in 1965 started marking walls. Now he is considered world's first modern graffiti artist. He was a 12-year-old troublemaker housed in Philadelphia's Youth Development Center. It would be interesting to evaluate people who do graffiti, just to find out why they are doing it, and what are the underlying issues. Thank you all for your time and support. Please share your thoughts because it will generate interest and conversation. And also, it will help with algorithm. I wish you all a fine weekend. Stay blessed, and I will catch you soon. Thank you.